Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can everybody hear? Can everybody hear and see? You guys on Facebook Live, can you guys hear and see? Okay. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Alhamdulillah, good morning to everybody. So in continuing with our discussion on man logic, today, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to be talking about something very important. I want more so the brothers to pay attention. I want brothers to pay attention because this is something that I'm positive that all men do this or have done it at some point in their lives, including myself, have done it at some point in their lives. No matter how honest or how organic or how truthful you believe you are. Telling a lie doesn't mean that you're not honest. It doesn't mean that you're not truthful. But I want us to understand the psychology behind why men lie. Why men lie to their women. Okay? Before I go into that, there was a piece on the last discussion that we had. Yeah, everybody lies. Everybody lies, but I want to concentrate more so on the men. I didn't bring closure to the last discussion that we had about, the superhero rescuer syndrome that some men, or many men, suffer from. And what I failed to mention at the end of that discussion was that a lot of the men who fall into the superhero rescuer syndrome, they end up becoming very depressed. They end up being very depressed. They end up being looking at it. They have a very self-defeatist attitude after the relationship crumbles because they put so much pride. They put so much trust and faith in their ability to rescue, right? And when the situation goes sour, they tend to look at themselves as the failure, that all of this failed because of me or my inability to, if you want to register for the How to Get Married and Divorced in 10 Weeks course, please send your email to rproductions@rolda.info. rproductions@rolda, RAWDAH.info. All right. And the closing, inshallah ta'ala, will be on the 1st. We will not be accepting any more registration, any more fees. It's not necessarily about the money. It's about the education. So let's, yes, the course is affordable. The total cost of the course is $500, but you can make that in installments. We're not asking for that all up front. You can make the $150 payment from the beginning. The course is going to run for 10 weeks. So you have 2 months to make, that payment, the entire payment. All right. Yes. Rolda Productions. Yes. At rproductions@rolda.info. Okay. All right. But because the thing is that if you're not investing in your knowledge about marriage, then how much does that really say about how much you care about marriage? We have to begin to invest in ourselves. We're seeing all of these marriages crumble. We're seeing people get cheated on. We're seeing people get domestically abused. We're seeing all of these problems go on in these marriages, and people still will not invest in themselves. I don't understand. That I don't understand. If I was single, if I was a new convert to Islam, or I was still in that realm, in that age bracket where you're trying to get married, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, or even 30s, and I've had, my share of failed marriages, I would be the first person in this class. I would be the first person in the class. Seeing everything that's going on, I want to make sure that the next time that I decide to go into marriage, that I'm equipped. You know what I mean? Like, I'm equipped, but, people just don't seem to want to invest in themselves. I don't get it. And I mean, like, it takes a certain type of person that is willing to pay for their education. And if you're not willing to pay for your education, then I'm not going to necessarily invest in you. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, then I'm not going to invest in you. I'm sorry. That's where I am at this point in my life. I give classes for free. I'm doing this right now for free. I'm giving you information about critical points about our character. This is not me just giving you some stuff off the top of my head. This is me going and doing some research on my own. And if you are not willing to invest in yourself, then I'm sorry, I'm not going to invest in you. There's tons of lectures out here for free, and you can see the quality of lectures that are offered for free. You get what you pay for. So if you want everything in life for free, then you gotta be willing to take second best, third best, right? If you are willing to invest in yourself and pay money to invest in yourself, you invest. If you got a college degree, then I would think that you are the type of person that likes to invest in your education. So $500 for a course is really nothing, All right. So going back to the point that I was making is that the superhero rescuer syndrome, this type of man always ends up depressed, always ends up self-defeating. He has a self-defeating attitude because he invests so much faith in his ability to rescue, right? He put so much faith in himself and his ability to rescue. And when that doesn't happen, the marriage, falls, short or whatever, it doesn't work out, the marriage fails, he begins to look at himself through the lens of his failed marriage. So he starts to see himself as a failure. You guys following me? This is the danger of believing that you can save everybody. All right. You always end up the one stressed out. You always end up the one, that really needs help because you put so much faith in yourself, in your ability to change people and to fix people's lives. Like, we're not here to fix nobody's life, man. You're not Ayanla, like, fix my life. That's not your job to marry somebody and fix their life. That's not your job. Your job is to marry someone, bring someone into your space and offer love and compassion within your capacity. Not to marry this person who has all of these problems, all of this dysfunction going on in their lives, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to make your life so much better. And then when you get to the point and you realize that you cannot make this person's life better, then you start to feel like a failure. Like, I failed the person. I failed the person. No, what you did was you failed yourself because you put too much emphasis on your ability. You know what I mean? Like, your ability to, to help somebody and to fix somebody else's life. That's not what marriage is about. Marriage is not about bringing someone into your space and fixing their life. That's not what marriage is about. You guys understand? So men who, put so much faith in their ability to rescue and to be the superhero, to save the day, when that situation goes sour and you realize at the end of the day that you couldn't save that person, you start to look at yourself as a failure. I failed. Not only that, in addition to that, you begin to see that your needs always come second. Because you're constantly looking after the needs of everybody else. So your needs always come second. Your needs always come second, and you always feel disappointed. You always feel, depleted. You always feel like, you understand what I'm saying? Absolutely. You start to say, well, what about me? If you would stop thinking that you could save everybody, then maybe you could look at trying to save yourself. Stop trying to save everybody else and save your damn self. And stop being so frustrated and disappointed at the fact that you were in a marriage with someone who could never supply you with the things that you needed from the very beginning. That person that you married a damsel in distress. You married someone who came with their own set of dysfunction. How did you expect that that person was going to come into your life and all of your needs were going to be met? Your needs were never going to be met. Right? Your needs were never going to be met because you were going to be the one rescuing and saving. And in the meanwhile, you as a man, you have needs that need to be met as well. Emotional, physical, spiritual. You have needs that need to be met as well. And, as the scholars say, faqidu shay la yu'ti. Someone who doesn't have something can't give you what they don't have. You married somebody that couldn't give you what you needed. That you married somebody that couldn't supply you with what you needed in a relationship. And then after the relationship fails, you turn around and you say to yourself, why are my needs never being met? And you might not even say that to yourself, but subconsciously you start to feel empty on the inside. As a man, you start to feel empty. And then the reverse of that is that you start to become selfish. You eventually reach a point in your life where relationships now become all about you. Because you are tired of investing in these women, right? Tired of investing in these women who never supply your needs, who never give you what you need in a relationship. You understand? So, the opposite side of that, let me block this person real quick. The opposite side of that is that you begin to now invest in yourself. You now begin to invest in yourself, but in a very selfish way. You start to feel like all of these relationships that I've been in, I'm constantly catering to women. I'm constantly giving, giving women all of the things that they need, and my needs are never met. So now you start to go into relationships with the mentality that I'm all for self. I'm going to go into this relationship. I'm going to get everything that I need from this person because I already know that this person is not going to be able to give me what I need. So I'm going to exploit this person. I'm going to get from this individual everything that I need. And then when I'm done, I'm done. Relationship is over with and it's off to the next person. You see that it has the opposite effect. This is very dangerous, man. Very dangerous. These are the type of situations that create men that become very selfish in their relationships. You understand what I'm saying? You start to become very selfish because you feel like I've exhausted myself in so many different relationships in my life and I never get my needs met. So I'm now going to start going into relationships and I don't care if the other person get what they need from me, but I'm going to suck this person dry until I get everything I need from that person. Yes, women do the same exact thing. This is the woman who is bitter, who has been hurt so many times. She goes into relationships trying to fix all of these men up, right? As I said before, women love a project. Women love a project. You're looking at the woman, you're saying, what in the world is she doing with him? And the reason why she's with him, who is, in a normal instance, wouldn't even have a chance in heck to be with her, but she's with him because she wants to fix him up. She wants to live vicariously through him, through the successes that he makes in life. She can say, I did that. I made him, right? I made him. You understand what I'm saying? So she's living vicariously through that. And then once she's been hurt multiple times, she's now numb to the emotional component of the relationship. And so now she goes into relationships totally for self. All I want from this situation, whether it's sex, whether it's money, whether it's, just to have a man there, just to have somebody close by to say that I have a man, but you don't really give a damn about him, right? You just want the luxury of saying I have a man simply because you've been burnt so many times and now it's all about you. You create a very selfish individual because of this. And part of this is not that you've been burnt so many times, is that you go after people whom you know from the very beginning can never meet your needs in a relationship. And when you're essentially looking at being in a marriage or in a relationship with someone, for those of you who are not Muslim who are listening, if you thinking about going into a relationship with this person, you have to be able to understand what you need, what do you require in this situation, and whether or not that person can give it to you. You can look at the person from the very, women, you are very keen with this. Men, sometimes it takes us a while to figure that out, that this person can't really do much for me. Women, you can look at a man from the very beginning. You can size him up from the very beginning to decide whether or not this man can give you what you need in a relationship. You're very good with that. You are very good with that. You can look at a man and you can decide from the very beginning whether or not you want to have a child with him and whether or not that person is going to be there to help you raise that child. All right. So that concludes this whole superhero, superhero rescuer mentality. Now I want to deal with something, just as damaging to the male psyche, and that is the man logic that we have to lie. Sometimes men lie. Many times men lie, and women will say all the time, I can't stand a man who lies. I can't stand a man who lies. And men, we do it all the time. Sometimes it's habitual. Sometimes we are so prone to lying. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's literally become a part of our character, right? There's certain behaviors that become habitual. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ said, إِيَّاكُمْ وَالْكَذِبْ فإن الكذب يهدي إلى الفجور والفجور يهدي إلى النار ولا يزال الرجل يكذب ويتحرى الكذب حتى يكتب عند الله كذابا. The Prophet ﷺ said, I caution you, I warn you against lying. إياكم والكذب. I caution you against lying. فإن الكذب يهدي إلى الفجور. Lying leads to all other forms of indecency. Meaning that lying is a gateway quality that opens up the door for other negative qualities, right? As my mother used to say to me, if you lie, you'll steal. And if you steal, you'll lie, right? And you just become, as you get wrapped up all in your stuff, man. But lying, as the Prophet ﷺ is telling us here, is a gateway quality that opens up the door to other negative and indecent qualities. He said, إِيَّاكُمْ وَالْكَذِبْ. I caution you, I warn you against lying. فَإِنَّ الْكَذِبْ يَهْدِي إِلَى الْفُجُورِ. That lying leads to fujur, right? Which is all forms of indecency. He said, and fujur yahdi ila nar, and all forms of indecency lead to hell. Lead to hell. He said, and a man will continue to lie over and over again. وَيَتَحَرَّى الْكَذِبِ, and he will seek to lie in every single instance until he is written with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as an absolute liar. That in the sight of God, you are a liar. Right? You know how you see a person, you be like, yo, I don't believe nothing that dude say. I don't believe nothing she say. Everything that comes out of that person's mouth is a lie. Think about God seeing you like that. Think about God seeing you as an absolute liar. Nothing that comes out of your mouth in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is believable. Nothing. That is a shameful place to be in. Yes, it is. Absolutely. So I'm just showing you, as the Prophet ﷺ is giving us divine guidance for this. You know what I mean? The lying, you know what I'm saying? And how it opens the door to other things. All right. So now let me kind of give you from the psychological standpoint. All right. Sometimes lying, people lie for all types of reasons. Understand that. People lie for all types of reasons. But one of the things that causes people to lie is fear. Fear of hurting somebody or fear of being hurt. So it's a defense mechanism. Lying is a defense mechanism. You want to, and this is of course for people who, that haven't become like habitual liars for other reasons. Lying is as a result of fear of hurting somebody and a fear of being hurt. You don't want someone to hurt you, so you lie to escape pain. You guys follow me? or you lie so that you don't inflict pain. You understand? You lie so that you... Now, I want us to think about this, because underneath a lying husband is a human being, right? Underneath a lying husband is a human being that is carrying his own set of beliefs based upon past experiences. All right. Your husband who lies is not just a liar. And so because he's a liar, he's a cheat. And because he's a cheat, he's no good. And you don't know why you with him to begin with. No. Back up a little bit. Underneath your lying husband, there is a human being who is carrying beliefs about people, about life, that is based upon past experiences. And those beliefs determine whether or not he should be his organic self completely or in that moment, or he should lie and give you what he believes is not going to hurt him or hurt you. Understand? I'm talking about a particular type of liar. I'm not talking about the lying, cheating, this type of husband. Those people are not included in our discussion. As I said that before, this is real men talk. This is not the lying, cheating, the person who doesn't even qualify for marriage to begin with. Sister, you shouldn't even give him a shot to begin with. Some sisters have brought individuals, have brought boys into men circles, men realm, and that is the realm of marriage. Some of you women have brought boys into men's discussions. Some of you women have brought boys into the homes that should be occupied by men. You married brothers and you brought them into your homes, and they were children. And those homes should have been occupied by real men. Don't bring boys into men's discussions. I'm not talking about the irresponsible, cheating, lying individual. That's not who I'm talking about here. I'm talking about real men, real married men who have made some mistakes, and I want to help them correct those mistakes. I want to help sisters understand why they made those mistakes and understand that you don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Your husband has made some mistakes, but he is not the worst individual on the face of the earth. Understand? And sometimes with a little bit of understanding, a little bit of compassion, a little bit of mercy, a little bit of understanding, you will be able to see your husband as whole again. It may take some time, but that's a process that you have to begin. Some women were lied to, were cheated on, and they sit in this place of pain. Being hurt is not a choice. Sometimes people hurt us and we didn't ask for it. We didn't ask to be hurt. So being hurt is not, you don't really have a choice in that matter. If a person decided to select you as the individual they're going to hurt, you don't really know that's what this person, that's their issue, not yours. They just saw you as a victim. Right? And some of us put ourselves in victiming situations. If you act like a sheep, you're going to attract wolves. Stop being vulnerable. Stop appearing to be vulnerable. Stop appearing to be the damsel in distress, thinking that you're going to, attract a superhero. Not all superheroes, not everybody that wears a cape is a superhero. Understand that. Not everybody that wears a cape is a superhero. How many villains out here, right? And then even in some instances, some superheroes become villains, right? Voluntary victims, absolutely. You volunteer to be a victim because you think by being a victim, you are going to, like you're going to attract a superhero. But not every person that wears a cape is a superhero. And not every superhero remains a superhero. Some people start off the superhero and then they eventually become the villain. Understand? All right, so underneath your lying husband is a human being that is carrying beliefs about the world, the beliefs about other people, based upon past experiences. And some of these beliefs that he holds determine for him whether or not he can be his organic self in that moment, or he should feed you the information that he believes is going to, is going to be easier, which is to lie. You understand? So not men don't just lie because they're no good, right? I want to look at the psychology of that, right? No, sometimes lying cannot be halal. Let's clarify that. Lying cannot be halal. Don't say that, man. If you throw that out there in the world like that, you put that out there in the atmosphere for people to accept that, you only contributing to the narrative that we can just hide behind. No, lying is not halal. Everything that is haram will always be haram. Understand that. Things may be allowed due to circumstances. Pork is allowed due to circumstances, but pork will never be halal. It will never be halal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ غَيْرَ بَاغٍ وَلَا عَادٍ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ. Whoever is driven by necessity, then there's no sin on him if he eats the pork. Allah never said that it was halal. Lying is haram. It will never be halal. Anything that is haram will never be halal, ever. Things may be allowed due to circumstances. And lying is not allowed in circumstances. There's a certain type of twisting of the truth that the Prophet ﷺ permitted under a particular type of circumstance. No, the hadith does not saying lying is permissible. That is not the hadith. With all due respect, that is not the narration. That is not the wording of the Prophet ﷺ. Go back and Google the hadith and give me the exact wording of the hadith. The Prophet ﷺ, he never said lying was permissible. Even if the word halal is used in Arabic, it does not mean halal in the sense of the Islamic judiciary terminology halal. It's considered a rukhsa, what is called an allowance. It is an allowance. Anything that is haram will never be halal. Understand that, brothers and sisters. We're talking about legal, Islamic legal terms. And I don't think too many people on here have studied Sharia, have studied Islamic law to be, manipulating these terms into meaning what you want them to mean. Very dangerous, man. Don't play with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's religion like that, man. That's not what he said. All right? Telling your wife that the food was good and it wasn't is not considered lying. It's an allowance that is given because of the overall objective, and that is to create harmony between husband and wife. Concealing your faults is not considered a lie. That's called a sitr. That's called covering your faults. That's not lying. If someone says this such and such, do this or do that, you're not going to say, no, he didn't do it and you know he did. You're going to say, I can't comment on that. Or I don't have all the details of that. That's not lying. That's covering your faults, and that's what you're supposed to do in Islam. But to flat out say, no, he didn't do it, and you know daggone well he did, that's haram. Haram for you to say that. Haram. Look at all of the ayats in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about being truthful and speaking the truth even if it's against your own self. Come on, man. Because if you say lying is permissible, then that means that text is going to conflict with all of the hadith that we have, all of the Quranic texts that we have that say being truthful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَكُنْ مَعَ الصَّادِقِينَ, and be with those who are truthful. I mean, how do you say that Islam permits lying, and then Allah tells you would be with those who are truthful? Allah says, be truthful, speak the truth, even if it's against your own self. And then you say another text where lying is permissible. Like your tadribu ayatullahi ba'duhu bi ba'd. The Prophet ﷺ warned us against that. Do not strike the texts of Allah, the verses of Allah, one of them against the other. Don't do that. All right? Let's gain understanding. If a person doesn't know, then ask, for clarification, inshallah. All right? So people lie for reasons. All right, that's understood. All right, and that sometimes we hold beliefs about the world, beliefs about people because of some past experiences that we've had that tells us, those past experiences tell us that in this space, in this situation, should I be genuine, organic, and be myself and just tell the truth, or should I lie? Right? Those past experiences that we had tell us whether or not we should do this or do that. Right? Some people grow up in, very hostile environments as children. You grow up amongst parents who are very, who resort to physical violence first and foremost. All right. They resort to parents who resort to physical violence from the very beginning. One infraction, one wrong mistake, and your parents resort to physical abuse. Physical abuse is traumatic for a child, because as a child, sometimes you're looking at the mistake that you made and the behind whooping that you got from your parents, and you're saying to yourself that the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Right? As children, if you are a child, one of those children like myself who question everything, even my own children do the same thing. Sometimes I make decisions and my children are like, well, Dad, that doesn't add up. You know what I mean? It doesn't add up. Well, why are you doing all of that? And it didn't add up. And then sometimes as a parent, you stop and you say, you know what? You're absolutely right. I'm just being, punitive at the moment. And I'm not being logical about the punishments that I'm dishing out. All right. So sometimes your children will correct you on that. But sometimes children, they're physically abused when they're children under, parents' auspices. And they look at the crime and they look at the punishment and it doesn't add up. But they know that there's no use in trying to talk sense, trying to talk sense into this person, into this parent, because the parent is not going to, is not going to, listen. So what children do in those situations to escape the physical punishment of the parent is to lie. Because they know that if I lie, then I'm going to escape a butt whooping. I'm going to escape the belt. You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying? I got you, Nadir, inshallah. So sometimes children lie under those circumstances because they see that lying will help them to escape punishment. All right, now take a male child who grows up in an environment like this, right? Who grows up in an environment like this where physical abuse was the order of the day from the parents. And lying was the only way to kind of get out of that situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was one of those children. I got beat as a child. I mean, many of us, our parents resorted to physical abuse. And it was because of that situation that I learned how to lie and how to be skillful with lying, because I wanted to escape punishment. Sometimes the punishment was unwarranted. Sometimes the punishment was beyond what the crime, necessitated. Sometimes, and you don't want that. You don't want a whooping. No child wants the whooping. So if you know that you can concoct some type of story or lie that will get you out of that situation, that's what you're going to do. No one walks into a home where the parents are abusive and just completely honest and truthful and says, yeah, I did it. And boom, you're going to get a whooping. Like, no, nobody's going to do that. You're going to think, okay, I know that if I don't create a story to divert the punishment, I'm going to get in trouble. Right? Sometimes this happened with your younger siblings. Sometimes you were left at home to watch your younger siblings. Sometimes you're not paying attention as a teenager and they get hurt or whatever the case may be. And then, you're the one being blamed, constantly blamed. This is the first child, right? The first child syndrome. Always being blamed for something the younger children did because you're the oldest and you should know better, blah, 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 blah. So what do? You start creating lies and stories for why things happen so that you can escape blame, even if it's not necessarily physical punishment, but judgment. Absolutely. It's our defense mechanism. You know what I mean? Even if the parents weren't physically, even if the parents weren't physically abusive, but verbally abusive. So now your parents are very judgmental. See, I knew we can't leave we trusted you and we can't ever leave anybody home. And you're this and you're that and you're so immature and I wish you would grow up. Well, those are all judgments, all of them, by the way. For those of us who use that type of language with our children, especially teenage children, that's judgment. It's judgmental. And no one wants to be judged, especially children in this day and age, right? In this day and age, these children are very sensitive. These children are very sensitive. We had thick skin, like we used to joke and hike on one another, whatever the case may be. These children today will kill you, will kill their parents for disrespecting them. And the Prophet ﷺ warned us about, the angry children, right? You know, and I mean, sometimes this, I mean, what do you do when that judgment is coming from your very own parents? Even worse, even worse case scenarios when you're a growing man, you know, going into manhood, 16, 17 years old, and you're living with your mother who's a single parent, and the mom is just constantly hammering you with her judgments. You know what I mean? You're being very judgmental. You know, why didn't you do this? Why did you do that? You know, I can't trust you to do this, and I can't, and you know, and as a teenage boy, you're like, okay, why is she talking to me like this? Yeah, but it tends to have an effect on your psyche. It tends to have an effect on how you deal with women. Because your mom is judging you like this. So you now start to create lies when you go out to get into a relationship with a woman because you don't want another woman talking to you like that. You understand? You hated the way your mom talked to you. You hated the way your grandmom talked to you. You hated the way these women in your lives talk to you. So you're going to lie to women later on in your life so that this is real talk, man. I'm telling you, real talk. I've been in this situation myself. Trust me. And you begin to lie to women later on in your life because you don't like, there's no judgment that is heavier than a woman's judgment. Make no mistake about it. There's no judgment heavier than a woman's judgment. When a woman judges you, like another man could judge you and you brush it off like it's nothing, like because you're not really in your feelings like that. When your woman judges you, there is no judgment that is heavier than the judgment of your mother and your spouse. We're not talking about, you know, the repercussions of the lying. Right now, we're just dealing with the psychology of it. All right. We'll get to all of the repercussions and everything later. I personally don't care about anybody's view about me. And my history will probably tell you that. But the one person, or there's two people whose judgments bother me the most, and that is the two women that I'm married to. My mother is deceased, so I don't really have to worry about that, right? But the women in your life that mean the most to you, their judgment of you will affect you as a man more than anybody else's judgment. If my wife says to me, any one of my wives says to me, I am disappointed in you, I thought better of you than that, I would crumble under those words. Because this is the person these are the people you love the most, and these are the people whose judgment matters the most. When you love people, their judgment of you matters. When you don't really care, their judgment doesn't bother you. It doesn't. A father can damage his daughter the same way. Absolutely. Absolutely. But most men see that as weak. I mean, what is weak? That's a relative term. What do you mean weak? Every culture has their own interpretation of what being weak is. That's relative. That's a relative term, man. So, what I'm saying is that people lie, number one, to escape physical harm and to escape judgment. You understand? You guys follow me? People lie to escape physical punishment, and they lie to escape judgment. Nobody likes to be judged. Even men, sisters, quiet as kept, we don't like to be judged. We don't like to be judged as incompetent. We don't like to be judged as, you know, less than a man. These are words that women resort to when you really want to break the man down. And you know that. You know that. Right? Yes, that is man logic. And that's maybe something else we need to deal with. Worrying about being weak. Worrying about being weak. Like, when you content with who you are as a man, that term weak is really irrelevant. It's not even a factor in my life. I don't even use the term weak. I mean, like, it's not even a part of my vocabulary. It's not even part of my vocabulary. I can't remember the last time I've used the word weak. I don't even use that term. It's not even a term, a phrase that I use on a daily basis. I can't even remember the last time I've referred to anyone or anything as weak. So, I mean, that's relative. I mean, depending on your culture, depending on where you came from, maybe, in your environment, to be affected by the words of your wife means that you are weak. But, just like you are affected by her praises, then the people who you are affected by their praises, then you are affected by their criticisms. Absolutely. And we all love when our women praise us. You're the best husband. Man, I'm so glad I married you. MashaAllah, tabarakallah, blah, blah, blah. We adore that. We love that. You know what I mean? And the same way that you are affected by her praises is the same way that you are affected by her criticisms. Absolutely. All right. So let me give you an example. All right. So now we have the psychology component. That lying comes from fear. And fear, a fear of being hurt or a fear of hurting somebody else. And we're going to get into that. Because some men, we lie to our women because we think that if I tell her, I'm going to hurt her. Well, guess what, genius? If you don't tell her and she finds out on her own, guess what? You're going to hurt her even more. All right? This is man logic, classic man logic. I didn't want to say anything to her because I didn't want to hurt her. Well, guess what, genius? When she finds out about it, and she will find out about it, everything done in the dark will come to the light. Trust that. Trust that. Real talk. She will find out. And guess what? When she does find out, guess how much more she's going to be hurt that you weren't honest with her from the very beginning. You had an opportunity to be honest, and you didn't. And you use your man logic. Well, I didn't want to hurt you. Well, guess what? When she does find out, she's going to be even more hurt. So lying comes from fear, a fear of being hurt or a fear of hurting somebody else. And sometimes women ask us to justify things that we don't necessarily consider or believe that is wrong. And so to avoid, that conversation, to go into this long job, we'll just tell you what we think you want to hear at that moment. And, you know what I mean? And it ends up being a lie. Sometimes women ask us for justification for things that we don't really see as being wrong. Well, why do I have to justify that? And then instead of going into a long drawn out argument with you, we'll just throw you anything, right? We'll throw you any excuse just to avoid, the hurt that is in that conversation. Because in those conversations, sisters, you have to stop being judgmental. Stop being judgmental. All right. Sometimes we do things and it's just our logic. It's the way we saw the situation. As I said, men and women see things two totally different ways. And we have to accept that. That is a fundamental component in learning how to process our actions and behaviors in a marriage, in a relationship. That we see things two totally different ways. You see it your way, I see it my way. And it's not about my way being right, my way being wrong. People who invest a lot of energy in trying to make your way wrong and my way right, you're going to end up burning yourself out. Because your whole relationship is based upon black and white, who's right, who's wrong. But when you say it's not about what's right or wrong, it's about perspective. That's your perspective, and I respect that, even though I don't see it that way. That's your perspective, and it's a respect for the perspective. It's not about who's right and who's wrong. You're two people in the same space having two totally different experiences. Two people in the same space having two totally different experiences. You could go to a gathering and your wife can come out of that gathering, as sisters usually do, and she can say to you, I was with some sisters and, we had this conversation or whatever, and the sister said this, and you can say, well, I don't see that to be a problem. And then she looks at you and say, what do you mean? That was disrespectful. How could you say that? And you're like, but it didn't seem disrespectful to me. See, this is why I can't talk to you, because you always, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, what did I say that was wrong? You explained the situation to me. I told you it didn't seem like it was disrespectful. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't see it to be disrespectful. You said it was disrespectful. I'm just giving you my take on it. I didn't ask you for your philosophy. I didn't ask you for blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, wow. So basically, the only perspective that you will accept is when it agrees with yours. right? Women, you guys are famous for that. You guys are famous for that. And instead of you saying, well, why didn't you see it as disrespect? I'm interested in hearing your perspective. That's respect for his perspective. You are explaining what happened to you. He said he didn't see it to be, he didn't see it to be disrespect. You're telling him to shut up and totally dismissing his view because it doesn't coincide with your view. You understand what I'm saying? He's telling you, I didn't see that to be disrespectful. And you're saying, well, how couldn't that be disrespectful? Look at how she said it. And you're like, but I still don't see it to be disrespectful. I don't see how she was being disrespectful to you. And she's like becoming irate now by the moment, like every second that passes, she's starting to look at you differently. Like, so what, you on her side now? You're like, oh my God, like, are you serious? Now I'm taking her side? It's like, I don't even know the woman. I don't even know the situation until you mention it to me. I'm not taking nobody's side. I'm just telling you, it doesn't seem like it was disrespectful to me. Now, if you just wanna vent that off and you don't want me to say anything, then just say that. If you want me to just shut up and just listen to you, then just say that. But if you're having a conversation, a discussion, which is usually an exchange, a fair exchange of ideas, between two people, that's usually how a conversation goes, then you want to hear my perspective. Perhaps if you was to just listen to why I said I didn't see it to be disrespectful, then perhaps you would have been open to another perspective, and perhaps it will help you to deal with her differently the next time you run in. You understand what I'm saying? No, I have my share of wins of arguments, and then sometimes, you just bow out. You just say, you know what? All right, cool. You're right. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about you just want to be heard. You want your perspective to be, acknowledged. That's it. I don't really care about right or wrong. My wives will tell you, I don't care about who's right and who's wrong. That's neither here nor there for me. I just want to be heard. I want my perspective to be acknowledged. That's it. I want my perspective to be acknowledged. That's it. I don't care about who's right and who's wrong. You can be right every single time. I don't care. But I just want you to acknowledge that I have a perspective. That's it. All right. So sometimes women ask men to justify things that, we don't really feel need a justification. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't think it, it needs to be justified. You know what I mean? And sometimes we'll just throw you whatever we think, will help end the conversation quickly without, getting tangled up into emotions and things like that. But men don't want an emotional conversation. We don't talk to connect emotionally as men. We talk to solve problems. You understand? Men talk to solve problems. We're proverbial problem solvers. That's our nature. We talk to solve problems. We don't talk to connect emotionally. That's what women do. Which is why when a man starts to transform into a woman, he can hang around women all the time because he has now adopted this, this feminine energy where now he's acting like a woman. So you'll find that a homosexual man, a gay man, can be around a whole bunch of women because he's now embraced that feminine energy. So he converses with them just to connect, not to solve problems. Because he's essentially now embraced a feminine energy. But real men, we connect, we talk with one another to solve problems. A man comes to sit with another man and says, yo, man, I'm having problems with my wife, whatever the case may be. And another man is like, well, maybe you need to marry another wife. Maybe you need to divorce her. You need to do something, but I ain't listening to all of these complaints, man. Like, you sound like a chick right now. You understand what I'm saying? Men not going to sit there and listen to a man pour his heart out. We ain't doing that unless you're a counselor. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're, you're of that caliber of men who can do that, right? Even myself as a counselor, Like I don't have the time to sit there. Anybody who's been in a counseling session with me will tell you, first thing I say is get to the point. Don't take me halfway around the world. My time is money. My time is important. I don't have a whole bunch of time. Don't give me the whole I don't need the whole backstory. I'm very good on my feet. I can connect the dots very quickly. I don't need the whole backstory. Tell me where we are currently and how we got there. And give me bikhtisar, give me the concise version, right? Give me this concise version. You understand what I'm saying? Because men, we talk to solve problems. We don't talk to connect emotionally. So women talk to connect emotionally. So when a woman calls a man on his stuff, there's emotion in that. She's looking for a connection. And we're just like, yo, I don't really want to go there right now. I just let me just tell you this lie, just so I ain't got to go down that road with you. You know what I mean? Like, and sometimes we don't realize that lie catches up to us later on, right? That lie catches up to us later on. And it's like, but 2 days later, 3 days later, she's processing the whole thing. Men tend to think when they have a conversation with a woman, once the conversation is over with, it's over. For you, as a man, it's over. For a woman, she's still processing days later, right? Her PC, man, her processing system is just like going, continuously. And then 3 days later, she comes back and say, remember that conversation we had, like 3 days ago? And you're like, what conversation? You're like, what conversation? And she's like, well, the conversation we had when we was in the kitchen. And he's like, oh, yeah. You vaguely remember bits and pieces. She remembers the whole conversation. The frontal cortex working weeks. Absolutely. She remembers the whole conversation from beginning to end. She may not remember where she put the keys. She may not remember she left the stove on. But if there was a conversation that was had, better believe she remembered every single detail of it. And all of the lies that we told in that conversation, she is going to CSI ain't got nothing on women and their ability to dissect word for word. Word for word. They will dissect the whole situation. Right? And then come back to you and lay the whole situation out. But you said this and that don't add up. And you said this and it just not adding up. So you're gonna tell me the truth now? You're like, but I was just throwing a lie out there because I didn't feel like going down that road with you. And to you, it seemed like, as a man, it seemed like it was really nothing. But as I said before, women talk to connect emotionally. And if you lie to a woman, right? If you lie to a woman, just to kind of, then that says a lot to her. And this is why women take lies so deeply. You lose respect for him. Even if for him it's just a little white lie, it's not really a big deal. But for her, because she communicates to connect emotionally, she sees that now as a disconnect. We're no longer connected emotionally. Our relationship is starting to break down because you're not being honest with me. You're not being truthful with me. Brothers and sisters, understand this. You keep saying it's cowardly. I mean, we're not judging. This is not the place to judge the brother for what he's doing. It's not the case. That's not what we're doing here. Maybe you're in the wrong periscope. You're in the wrong discussion. We're not judging the brother as being cowardly for doing this. This is not male bashing. When we're talking about male logic, we're throwing things on the table that men do so that we can dissect this, pick it apart, so that we can understand the psychology behind it and stop doing it. And so that women can be a little bit more merciful and compassionate. This is not judging him as being a coward. Right. Being open and being willing to love. Absolutely. Right. This is the why. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is not the place to, we're not, you know what I mean? Like, this is not male bashing. We're not bashing men. We're just identifying some of some of our thought processes. Okay. The act is cowardly. You're entitled to your opinion, brother or sister, whoever you are. You're entitled. All right. So what I'm trying to give you get you to understand, you know what I mean? This is what is happening. All right. So I want to give you a hadith. I gave you the why, gave you the psychology behind it. Of course, now I want to connect it to our deen. I want to connect it to our religion. Is there something in the Quran? Is there something in the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that can kind of highlight the damage or this mentality? Not necessarily the damage, but this mentality. Is there something from the Quran? Is there something from the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Yes, absolutely. As I told you, you don't give me any issue except that we can find some trace of it in the Quran and in the Sunnah. So in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks briefly about a situation that happened during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I grew up around powerful men, so I'm very thankful for my upbringing that's single family problems. Brother or sister, whoever you are, even if it is single family problems, for you to throw that out there like that, that's just very dismissive. As that's basically you're saying, I don't have those type of problems. I'm grateful that I grew up around strong men, right? And I can almost guarantee you that the same strong men that you said that you grew up around, somewhere along the lines in their relationships, man, they lied somewhere. So don't give me that, man. Don't give me that. That's BS. Every man has had his share of fabrication of a truth, omitting a truth, however you want to put the lie, because lies come in many different shapes and forms. It's not just an outright lie. Sometimes, it could be omitting the truth. Sometimes it could be twisting the truth. All of it is considered lies. Some form, shape, form, or fashion of it. My parents okay, your parents together for 40 years. And you've been married for 11. So what does that make you? That makes you better than the people that we're talking about here? Does that makes you better than the people that we're talking about here? So then why are you on here? Why are you here? This conversation is obviously not for you. This is beneath you. This conversation is beneath people like you. So I don't even know why you even engaging in the discussion. Why are you even on here? That's like saying Toba or repentance is for sinners. You know what I mean? But you're not helping. You're making the conversation worse because you're speaking from a place of privilege. And unfortunately, we're not as privileged. I'm sorry. I'm a product of a single mother. I'm sorry. I'm sure my children would like to think that I'm the most powerful man, but I grew up under a single mother. And for you to say these are single parent problems, well, then you're saying that most of us are single parent problems. And I'm okay with that. I'm good with that. I don't have a problem with that. What do you think we're doing? We're talking about how to fix it. But you're sitting here condescendingly talking about, I'm glad I grew up around powerful men. You know what I mean? What powerful men you grew up under? Please, what powerful men you grew up under? Basically, so everybody else that we're talking about here that has the problem, these are people that are beneath you. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to bless you, bless your marriage, bless your parents' marriage, but please let real people who have real problems have real discussions. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so during this particular incident, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, let me just block him because he's just not going to stop. Okay, cool. All right, so let's move it. During this incident, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, him and his companions, they were heading out for a battle. They were going to a battle. It's called the Battle of Tabuk. One of the last battles that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, sent an army out to engage in before his demise. During this battle, there were 3 companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of them, his name is Ka'b ibn Malik. And there was 3 of them who didn't participate in this battle. They didn't participate in this battle. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala captured this in the Quran. وَثَلَاثَ الَّذِينَ تُخُلِّفُوا. And the 3 people who fell back and did not participate in the battle. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did capture this issue. So the Prophet ﷺ decided that he was going to boycott these 3 until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed verses about them. So I want to capture for you the conversation that Ka'b had with himself when he went to go sit with the Prophet ﷺ when the Prophet asked him why he did it. Keep in mind what we discussed earlier about lying. The fear of appearing inadequate, the fear of being judged, The fear of hurting someone or subjecting yourself to hurt. So those men who, find themselves in those situations at that moment, I want you to understand, I want to normalize that feeling, that fear. Like when you're put in that situation, right? I remember my mother always used to say, I can always tell when you're lying, right? I can always tell when you're lying because I wear all of my emotions on my face. When I don't like something, when I don't like somebody, you can always look at my face and tell exactly what's going on, right? And my mother always used to say, you should always tell the truth because you wear all of your emotions on your face. I can always tell what's going on with you by your facial expressions. And so some men, when they're put in those situations where your wife says, can we talk? That's kind of like the worst words that a woman can say. And that is even worse when you send it in a text message. When you say, when you get home, we need to talk. There's a million things going through our mind as men. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, what did I do? And now you're fumbling through all of the Rolodex of the incidents that happened. What happened here? When did I do this? Did she look through my cell phone? Did she look through this? Did she look through that? You're like, what is going on? You understand what I'm saying? Like, as a man, those are the worst words you could say to your husband. Don't say to me, we need to talk when you get home. Just talk when we get home. Let's just have the conversation when I get home. But I'm one of those people, no, I'm going to pick up the phone and call, what happened? What's wrong? No, we can talk. No, we're going to talk right now. Brother just did this to me 2 days ago at the masjid. I'm getting in my car after the salat. He comes over to my window. He was like, the next time I run into you, there's something. I said, no, next time, ain't no next time. He said, you got a minute? Absolutely, I got a minute. I put my car in park. I got out and we talked right there. No, we need to have that conversation right now because that's psychological warfare. That's psychological warfare. Because you've already set the tone that something he did is wrong. So in our mind, we're already preparing a defense. You understand what I'm saying? This is the whole process. This is how it works. You're already, as a man, when your wife sends you the text, you at work. Everything going good, you having a good day, whatever the case may be. You look at your phone, honey, when we get home, you need to talk. You already preparing your defense. You already looking for your lawyers, right? You're looking to hire an attorney. You already preparing your defense. You know what I mean? Because those type of words put men on defense. If you want to have a healthy discussion with your spouse, don't put them on defense. Let them allow them to have their guards down so that they can be organic in that moment. You want them to be organic in that very moment. When they come home, say, hey, babe, how you doing? How was your day today? Hey, listen, by the way, can I ask you a question? Are you in the mental space real quick that we can have a conversation? Yeah, sure. Go ahead. He's not on defense. He's not on defense. And you're going to get organic him in that moment. But if you say, and he got 3 hours to get home, 4 hours to get home, and you say, when you get home, we need to have a conversation. He's already preparing a defense because he's already thought that I'm wrong. And unless you send that text and you say, you shouldn't say anything. You just wait until he get home. Why do you want him to mentally prepare for a conversation that you want him to be organically genuine in? You want him to be organic. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes I'm called to do a lecture, and sometimes, depending on the nature of the lecture, sometimes I don't prepare anything because I just want it to come from the heart. I want it to be organic. Whatever comes out of my mouth comes out of my mouth. I don't have no notebook. I don't have anything. I didn't prepare anything because I want it to be organic. I want it to come purely from my heart, not contrived, not something that sat down and I thought about. You understand what I'm saying? I had to go and speak in Philadelphia to, I went to the juvenile correction facility, and we had to, talk with some of the young inmates there. I didn't prepare anything. Nothing, intentionally. And I usually don't show up to any lecture without a few notes, whether in my phone or whether in a piece of paper that I wrote down. That is how I keep track of my thoughts, because my mind is all over the place sometimes. But you want your husband to be organic. You want him to respond from the heart. You don't want him to prepare a response. You don't want him to prepare a defense. That's counterproductive to what you want from the conversation. You understand? It's almost like you're going to get a beating after school. Absolutely. That's exactly what it's about. That's psychological warfare. Psychological warfare. Right? You get in trouble in school. You get sent to the principal's office. The principal calls your mother on the phone. Right? This is the way they used to do it back in the day. And then, your mother says, put him on the phone. Right? And you grab the phone and your mother says, boy, have you lost your mind? When you get home, I'm going to tear your ass up. All right, and you got to live with that for the rest of the day. You understand what I'm saying? You got to live with that for the rest of the day. So you're going to do one or two things. One or two things. You're either going to be good all day long and then try to get a note home from your last teacher to say you had a good day to kind of counter, perhaps, that might work against the parent, right? Or you're just going to act, you're going to do what I did. You're just going to act a complete nut because you figure I'm going to get beat when I get home anyway. So I might as well just go full throttle. You know what I mean? I might as well just go all the way out. Right? And that's still my mentality today. My wife just corrected me on that this morning. We're late taking the kids to school. You know what I mean? My wife was like, all right, you can't stop and get your coffee now. Let's get them to school. And then I'm like, well, we're already late. So, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And I was that person. I call into work and say, yo, I'm gonna be late. You know what I mean? And then I figure, well, I'm already late. I already called out. Let me stop and get breakfast. You stroll in 45 minutes late to work with Starbucks. Your boss looking at you like, dude, like you really got it twisted. But that's my logic. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But at the same token, as a woman, you don't want your husband to prepare a response. You don't want him to be on defense. You want him to respond organically from the heart. So if you send a text message saying when you get home, we need to have a talk, he's already on defense. He's already preparing his responses. And you're going to get a lie. You're going to get a lie. Sometimes it comes out inadvertently. He didn't even prepare to lie. He just didn't prepare, to be judged. You understand what I'm saying? Like, he didn't prepare to lie. He prepared not to be judged. No one likes that. No one likes to be, put on the fence and they're being judged for, you understand what I'm saying? Men, am I making sense? Brothers, am I making sense? I need you, I need to know that I touched a pulse. I need to know that I got a pulse on you guys. Does it make sense? No man wants to come home from a long day of work to a woman who, you're providing for and taking care for and loving and to be judged by that woman because your judgment means the most to us. Your judgment, means so much more to us. Sounds so motherly? Nah, it's not. It's within the confines of that relationship. It's within the confines of the relationship. You know what I mean? Like, nobody wants to be judged. You know what I mean? Like, men want to feel like, okay, she's just bringing up the conversation and, and I can just respond organically right there in that moment. You know what I mean? I can just give it to you right there in that moment. You know what I mean? And whatever comes out, comes out. But if you give men too much time to prepare a response, somewhere along the line that is going to be a lie in there. There's going to be a lie in there because you gave us too much time to prepare. We don't need time to prepare if you want an organic response. If you want a genuine conversation, then just have it right then and there in that moment. Don't prepare, I'm going to get him when we get home. We need to talk when you get here. And he's like racking his brain trying to figure out what he did wrong. And the whole while you cleaning the house because you already got I got him. You already got what you needed. Right? You got that one piece of evidence. You know what I mean? And your whole argument is centered around that one piece of evidence. So you can clean the house, you can cook, go get the kids from daycare, and then come home, and you still prepared to have a conversation because you got your one piece of evidence. For us, we can't even function the rest of the day at work. People like, what's wrong? You all right? You everything good? Or what's happening? You're like, nah, everything good. I think my wife tripping though, man. I don't know, man. She talking about we need to have a conversation when I get home. I don't know what this is about. Yeah, man, my wife does the same thing to her. Now he's adding to the anxiety. You understand what I'm saying? He's adding to the anxiety. So, it's very important. So Ka'b ibn Malik, he has to go in front of the Prophet ﷺ and explain to him why he didn't show up and participate in this battle. The Prophet ﷺ knew that, he wasn't there, and he knew that, he had to face that. So listen to what he says. Ka'b, he said, حتى جلست بين يديه. He says, so I sat in front of the Prophet ﷺ. فقال لي ما خلفك. He said, and the Prophet ﷺ asked me, what prevented you from participating in this battle? Why didn't you come? Right? And alhamdulillah, good for them. During that time, they didn't have text messages. But Ka'b knew that at some point he was going to have to sit with the Prophet ﷺ and explain himself. But listen to the conversation he has. He said, the Prophet ﷺ asked him, what prevented you from participating in this battle? And he said to the Prophet ﷺ, Wallahi, لو جلست عند غيرك من أهل الدنيا لرأيت أن أخرج أني سأخرج من سخطه بعذر ولقد عتيت جدلا ولكني والله لقد علمت لئن حدثتك اليوم حديث الكذب ترضى به عني ليوشكن الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يسخطك علي يعني غدا ولئن حدثتك حديث الصدق تجد علي فيه إني لأرجو فيه عفو الله لا والله ما كان لي من عذر يا رسول الله والله ما كنت قط أقوى ولا أيسر مني حين تخلفت عنك قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أما هذا فقد صدق. He said to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said, O Messenger of Allah, he said, if I was sitting with anyone else from the people of the world, people from the dunya, if I was sitting with anyone else, he said, I would come out of the conversation with an excuse and would have escaped the person's anger. He said, لَقَدْ أُتِيتُ جَدَلًا. I've been given the ability to articulate. I'm very good with articulating myself. He said, if I was sitting with anyone else, I could have come out of that situation unscathed. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have to have dealt with the person's judgment or the person's anger, right? If I was sitting with anybody else. He said, but I know, I swear by Allah, I know that if I was to lie to you today, that I would earn your pleasure today, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be angry with me tomorrow. If I was to lie to you today, I could gain your good graces, I could gain your pleasure, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would make you angry with me tomorrow by revealing my real situation. He said, and I know that if I'm, if I'm truthful with you right now, then you would find that I only want the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That I'm just being honest with you. I didn't have to be honest with you, but I'm being honest with you, right? And by being honest with you, I only want the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, I swear by Allah, I have no excuse for not participating in this battle. He said, there was no one stronger and more able-bodied individual than me to participate in that battle. I have no excuse, O Messenger of Allah. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Amma hadha faqad sadaq. He said, as for this one, he's honest. He's truthful. So the point that I'm making here is that Ka'b ibn Malik, he said to the Prophet ﷺ, if I was sitting with anybody else, I would have lied and I would have escaped judgment. I would have escaped judgment. I would have escaped anger of the person. He said, but I know that if I lie to you today, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to expose that tomorrow and I'm going to earn your anger. He said, but if I tell the truth to you today, then I know that you will understand that I am only trying to earn Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness. Did he get punished? He was boycotted. Absolutely. He was boycotted until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed verses forgiving him. All right. He forgave him. But the point that I'm making here is that as men, here again, sometimes we lie. We don't tell the truth because we are in fear of being judged. We're in fear of disappointing the other person, right? Or fear of, hurting ourselves. But sometimes as men, we have to learn how to stand in that discomfort. As I tell my children all the time, part of being a man is not having your cake and eating it too. You can't steal or do something wrong and then lie to get away with it. Like, if you did it, then own it. Even if you lose your woman by the truth, you gain the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is more important to you? To lie to your wife and to know that you're only still with her based upon a lie. Can you live with that? I can't live with that. There's no way in the world that I could live with that. Do you lie to your wife and still remain married to her only because you're living a lie? Or do you tell the truth to her and leave her heart in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is in the controller of everybody's heart, and make it right with God? Make it right with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't care what my repercussion is. What is, the end result of my action? You understand what I'm saying? Like, I did it. So whatever comes as a result of that, you have to be willing to take that as well. You were aware of the consequences before you did it, whether it was cheating, whatever it was. You were aware at the time that you were doing that your actions had consequences. And this is why people, in the hood, people take issue with snitching. It's like, why are you going to snitch? You knew you were out there selling drugs. You were out there doing whatever it was you were doing. And then you go to jail. And instead of you taking responsibility for your actions and just doing the time, you want to tell on everybody else so you can go free. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. I don't live by hood rules, but I was raised in the hood, so I understand those rules very good. I understand those rules very well. You understand what I'm saying? Like, nah, you don't get to have your cake and eat it too, man. You don't get to get out here, do all these type of crimes, and then go to jail, and they twist your arm, and then you tell on everybody, and then you go free and live the rest of your life. Nah, man, you don't get that. And this is why the hood will crucify you if you do that. You can never come back to your hood unless your hood is just soft, and they allow people who snitched on other people to just walk around, and willy-nilly like it's all good. But in real hoods, like where it really go down, you don't get to come home from jail after snitching on somebody and then get to live the rest of your life in peace. It don't work like that in the real world. It doesn't work like that in the real world. You understand? You will lose your life without a doubt. Not just your life, but sometimes the lives of your family members, depending on who you snitched on. You understand? Real talk. So, although I don't live necessarily by those rules, we understand those rules because that's where we come from. You know what I mean? So the point that I'm making is that as a man, you don't get to have your cake and eat it too. You don't get to, sleep with another woman while you're married and then lie to your wife, and you still, because now your marriage becomes a lie. You're only living with this woman because she doesn't know the truth. You're only living with this woman because she doesn't know the truth. Understand? I can't live like that. I can't wake up next to somebody knowing that I don't have the organic her. I only have her because our relationship is based upon a lie. Because if she knew the truth about me, she wouldn't be with me. That's crazy, man. That's a hell of a way to live your life, man. And that says a lot about how much you really care about your wife. Borrowed time until the truth come out. You ain't never lied, sister. Borrowed time until the truth comes out. Absolutely. And some men are living lies right now. The only reason why you're married to the woman that you with right now is because she don't know the truth about you. She does not know the truth about you. And this goes to, the brothers who go out and marry women, marry second wives, third wives without telling their other wives. You're living a lie because you know damn well that if your wife knew that you did that, you knew that you wouldn't be, that you won't be married. But we'll go and we'll do that. Real men don't do that. Real men understand that if I'm a polygynous man, that's who I am. Like me who like me, don't like me who don't like. You don't want to be with me, keep it moving. There's other women who want to be in polygyny. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not going to take that from anybody. I'm not going to hide that, and force the person to stay with me because of a lie. And this is essentially what you're doing. You're forcing the woman to stay with you because you just don't want to be honest with her. If you were a real man, you would say from the very beginning, I'm polygynous. If polygyny doesn't work for you, then we need to cut our sit downs off and you can go find another brother who you can ride off into the sunset with and y'all can live happily ever after in monogamy. That's not my life. That's not my life. I'm a polygynous man, so if you're marrying me, then you need to understand that at some point we're going to end up in polygyny. If that doesn't work for you, then, ma salama, may Allah make it easy for you. You understand what I'm saying? You're transparent from the very beginning. That is cowardly. Yes. That is cowardly. What I was mentioning from the beginning is not cowardly. That's just men doing lies for the reasons that they do them. You intentionally deceiving a woman, that's cowardly. Absolutely. Wholeheartedly. Every lie is not necessarily deception. As I mentioned before, people tell lies for different reasons. Sometimes it's a psychology thing. Sometimes it's, as I said, you send a text message, say we need to talk. You preparing your defense, and somewhere in that defense is a lie because you're trying to protect yourself. That's not necessarily cowardly. That's not necessarily cowardly, right? But you going to marry another woman without telling your wife because of fear that she's going to leave you, so that you can have your cake and you can eat it too. Or I don't want to hurt her feelings. That's a cowardly excuse. That's a cowardly excuse. I'm sorry. I will never be okay with that. And, men need to, to be honest with themselves. Don't, and this is another thing. Why do brothers lie to sisters at the very beginning just so you can marry them? I don't understand that. Brothers will say, I will never marry another woman. I'm not into nobody else. I don't want to be in polygyny. And the whole while you really do. But you're just telling her what you think she wants to hear so that you can win her over. Understand something. A woman will respect you more when you're honest from the very beginning. As a matter of fact, to some women, that's actually attractive. Believe it or not. To some women, it's actually very attractive for you to say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm into. And she's sitting back looking at you like, dang, this is a real man. This is a real dude. This is a real dude. I need somebody like that in my life. They respect that. They love that. Because it's some alpha male type stuff. You know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? And they love that stuff, man. For the women who are actually attracted to that. Some women might say, while I appreciate your honesty, I'm not really into the polygyny thing, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. It was nice meeting you and keep it moving. But at least you gave her an opportunity to make a choice. When you lie to her under those circumstances, you're not giving her a choice. You're forcing her to stay with you because of a lie. That I have no respect for. That's right. Give me your truth and let me decide if I want to proceed. Absolutely. Give her a choice. Don't lie to the person. It's just like some people, men, who have contracted some type of STD, whether herpes or something else. And then they sit with a sister knowing that they have it and say nothing to her about it. And then marry the woman and then give it to her. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you got to live with that. Yom Qiyamah, you have to deal with that. You married this woman, brought this woman into your life, gave her an STD and didn't say nothing to her about it. Allahu Akbar, man. Talking about loving for your brother what you love for yourself, you have got to be kidding me, man. This is not Islam. This is not Islam, man. Subhanallah al-Azim, man. Yeah, this is real talk, man. And then she has to stay because she's now in fear. Nobody else is going to marry me with herpes, so I got to stay. This dude done forced my hand. You understand what I'm saying? And now she has to live with this disease for the rest of her life because you forced her hand. You wasn't transparent enough with her to say, hey, listen, this is my situation. I don't know if, and some people have gotten married with people who have STDs and they don't have it. I know many situations where the woman has it as well as vice versa, where the man has it and their spouse doesn't have it. And they were all transparent from the very beginning and they were okay with that. I know many situations like that. Some people don't care. But you're giving the person the choice. You're giving them a choice. You're saying, hey, this is my situation. Instead of lying to the person to have your cake and eat it too. So you're going to have your STD and you're going to have the woman that you wanted. Nah, you don't get to have both. You don't get to have both. And that's cowardly. You want to talk about a coward? That is cowardly. You understand? So Ka'b ibn Malik, he said to the Prophet ﷺ, if I was sitting with anybody else from the people of the dunya, I could have escaped this situation without dealing with the person's anger, simply because I urtitu ajadal. You know what I mean? Like, I've been given the ability to articulate. He said, but I know that if I lie to the Prophet ﷺ today, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to expose it tomorrow and he's going to make you angry with me later. But if I'm honest with you today, then perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will see, my honesty and change your heart and let you know that I only want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness. You understand? And sometimes you can have your cake and eat it too with the truth. Absolutely, sister. Sometimes you can just be completely honest. And that's the only way that you should want your cake and eat it too, is if I'm honest. That's the only way I want it. I don't want it any other way. I'm going to be honest with the situation, and whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides, that's what it is. That's what it is. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides, that's what it is. But I'm not going to lie, and sneak my way around the situation. If my wife decides to leave me because of this, then that is totally up to her. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in control of the affair. But I am not going to live a lie. I'm not going to lie to you so we can remain married. You understand what I'm saying? Because I know that I don't have the organic you. I don't have the organic you. I have a lie. Because if you knew the truth about my situation, you wouldn't be with me. Marriages would last longer if people were more transparent. Well, people not being transparent is just a microcosm of the world, the society that we live in. Right? When you go to people's Facebook pages, when you go to their Instagram pages, we only post the pictures of our lives that look like everything is good. Right? You scroll through a person's Instagram pictures, they only post the pictures of everything that looks good about their lives. Because we want to give off this persona, we want to give off this, this fictitious, view that our lives are so perfect. When in fact, we're suffering, man. We're suffering. We're sick individuals, sick society of people, man. Post the pictures of you crying. You know what I mean? When you found out your husband cheated on you. Post that picture. But you want to post your picture with your girlfriends, selfie, besties, everything is, all hunky-dory. Everything is good because we want the world to believe that our lives is perfect. It's perfect. We want the superficiality of perfection, of happiness, instead of allowing people to, to see the whole thing. You understand what I'm saying? Marriage would be easier if people kept it 100. Would it be? Some people enjoy being lied to. I did a whole lecture about that. There's a lecture on SoundCloud that I gave, why we love being lied to. There's some people who can't deal with truth. She said that our marriages would be much better if people would just keep it 100. I'm saying no, it wouldn't. Our marriages would probably be worse if we kept it 100. Our marriages are the way that they are right now because we enjoy lies. We love living the lie. We love when people lie to us, right? That would shatter too many egos. You damn right about that. You ain't never lied, as we used to say. You never lied. Absolutely. That would shatter a lot of people, man. So the fact of the matter is that things are the way they are because that's the way they're supposed to be. If we were to be able, do you really think, let's go back to that mine's is great because we keep it 100. Okay, cool. Do you think that if, let's just take it back a little bit, because we, during the sit down, we lie by omission. We don't admit everything. We don't admit everything. Do you really believe that your husband would be with you right now if he knew how many men you were with prior to being with him? So I've only been married maybe once or twice before. Sometimes for the brothers, do you really think that the sister would be with you if she knew how many times you've been divorced? No, we lie by omission, and sometimes we know. Sometimes a sister know your husband cheating on you. Knock it off, man. Knock it off. Knock it off. You know your husband cheating on you, man. Knock it off. But we've conditioned ourselves to live with the lie. Some of us are okay with that. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm counseling the couple and I'm saying like, yo, the situation is clear in front of you that, you know, like, you don't need permission to leave. Like, you should have left this dude a long time ago. And she stays. She stays. Because she's lying to herself, telling her he's a good man. Right? I've had sisters come in my office and say, you know, my husband, you know, don't get me wrong, my husband is a good man. But, blah, 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 blah. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, well, like, it's oxymoronic. It's oxymoronic for you to lead with, my husband is a good man. Then you double back and give me this whole spiel about how much of a not good man he is. Like, come on, man. Sister, I'm not saying like yes, that might work for you, but I'm saying that somebody who is out here in the community, you know what I mean, and dealing with these communities, people love to be lied to. We tell ourselves lies. We tell ourselves lies so that we can function in this realm. Some sisters are married to men and you know he don't love you. You know he don't love you. You know he don't love you. But you keep telling yourself he loves me because I know my husband loves me. Knock it off. You know he don't love you. He's proven to you over and over again that he doesn't love you. As a matter of fact, he's proven that he doesn't even know what love is, and you still with him. He doesn't even know what love is. So to say, I know my husband loves me. Are you kidding me? Right. So that's, you know, that's that. So what's the solution to this? Let's be solution oriented. What's the solution here? All I'm saying is that if our relationships were based upon pure truth, a lot of us wouldn't even be married. That's what I'm saying. So maybe we kind of just like need to just leave things as they are. As the scholars have a saying that if don't let your forbidding evil be more evil than the evil you're trying to prevent. If you're trying to enjoin what's good and forbid evil, right? If you're trying to forbid evil, don't let the evil that you're trying to forbid be worse than the evil that you're trying to forbid. Okay? Similar to the hadith where the man came in the masjid and he urinated in the masjid, right? The Sahaba got up to go do some physical harm to him. They were trying to forbid an evil, but what they were getting ready to do was worse than the sin or the crime that was being committed. It's counterproductive. So if we're trying to fix marriages and we're telling people to just be honest, be more, you understand what I'm saying? Be more transparent and 100%, marriage is going to start crumbling. That's not the solution here. That's not the solution here. The solution here is for men to challenge their man logic. When we tell ourselves, I need to lie to get out of this situation, right? I need to lie to get out of this situation. What we need to start doing as men is standing in our discomfort and saying, I'm going to be honest, and whatever happens as a result of that, then possibly I deserve that. But connecting our fear to Allah, not to the person, not to your wife. I'm not afraid of my wife. I am afraid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Understand that. That's the problem. Yeah, I agree. The solid start is to be in fear of Allah, not in fear of your wife. What did the Ka'b say? He said that I know that if I lied to the Prophet ﷺ today, that I would be in his good graces and everything would be good, but then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will expose it tomorrow and he'll be angry with me tomorrow. Same thing that happens. You lie to your wife today, she finds out later, she's even more angry with you tomorrow about the incident and about the fact that you lied. And sometimes the lie is worse than the incident. Because your wife is looking at you as like, why couldn't you just be honest with me? Why did you have to lie about something as simple as that? You understand what I'm saying? Why did you have to lie to me about something as simple as that? You could have just been, you know what I'm saying? Yes, you can learn more of this in the marriage course. Absolutely. Absolutely. The marriage course is August 5th, inshallah ta'ala. How to get married and divorced in 10 weeks. We will learn this and more than this. You know, from a more technical standpoint. This is kind of off the record, more informal conversations. But there, we're going to get the technical, right? The lie ends up being worse, right? The lie ends up being worse than the actual infraction. And your wife is looking at you like, I lost mad respect for you for something as simple as this. You could have just been honest with me. And yeah, I would have been pissed off. Like, who's not going to be pissed off? Yeah, I would have been pissed. But I would have got over it. But I would have never had to see you in a different light. And now that you did lie to me, I see you differently now. You know, I see you differently now. The course, you can attend the course online, inshallah ta'ala. Please send your email to rproductions@rawdah.info, rproductions@rawdah, RAWDAH.info, or you can email me, Imam Shadeed Muhammad @gmail, inshallah ta'ala. Send me an email and we'll get you registered and get you ready for the course. The course, there's only a week left. Right, and August 1st is the cutoff date. We're not accepting any more applications or registrations after August 1st. Whether you pay your money or whatever the case may be, it's not about your money. We don't care. We're not accepting any more payments. We're not accepting anything else after August 1st. We already have our class. Our books are already set. As a matter of fact, I have some of the books right here in front of me. All right, this is the book, How to Get Married and Divorced in 10 Weeks. Everything you need to know about marriage. This is the syllabus. As you can see, it's a 10-page syllabus from start to finish. This is the coursework. This is one workbook. You actually have 4 workbooks. There are 4 workbooks like this. You can see how thick the book is. 4 workbooks, inshallah ta'ala. 4 workbooks that will be given to every student. And inshallah ta'ala, this will allow you to finish the course, and you will be given a marriage educator's certificate. That doesn't mean that you are qualified to marry people, but what it does mean is that you are actually proficient as it relates to the processes of marriage, divorce, khula in Islam. You've sat with someone who's sat with scholars, who has a degree, who has studied these things in detail, right? And they have given you a stamp of approval that you are, in fact, efficient or proficient in these areas. The course will only be streamed live for those who paid for the course. All right. The email is, you can send me an email, Imam Shadeed Muhammad @gmail, and that's 2 E's, Muhammad, MUHAMMAD @gmail.com, or you can email the person that is responsible for all the course materials and engaging with the students, and that is Rawdah Productions, rproductions@rawdah.info, rproductions@rawdah.info. We're having our Friday call about man logic deconstructing. Call in, yes, inshallah ta'ala. Please text me the call in number, inshallah. The books will be mailed this weekend, no later than Monday, inshallah. Monday, inshallah, will be the final day. So you'll have your books by Wednesday. It's like a 2-day process in America, no matter where you are. Inshallah ta'ala, there's a 2-day process. So all of the books, for those of you who are taking the course online, your books will all be mailed out to you, inshallah ta'ala, no later than Monday. Okay. You can send an email, Imam Shadeed Muhammad @gmail, or rproductions@rawdah.info. You can go to my Facebook page. The registration page is there on my Facebook page. The entire course is $500, but you can make payments. You don't have to pay the whole $500 at once. Yes, Rawdah, RAWDAH. Okay, so you can sign up and register now. You can pay $150 to secure your seat. The classes will be held at Sister Claire Muhammad School in Philadelphia, inshallah. If you're in New Jersey, Philadelphia, yes, that's the email. If you're in the Jersey, Philadelphia, South Jersey, North Jersey area, New York, inshallah ta'ala. And we will, if you want to bring the course to your masjid, then have your imam reach out to me. If you want me to bring the course, I don't care where you are. If you're in Atlanta, if I got to come and stay in Atlanta for 10 weeks, then that's what we have to do. If I have to come to New York and bring the course up there, let me know, inshallah ta'ala. Let me know, and we'll make arrangements to bring the course to your locality. All right. So, in ending, the solution to this problem is for men to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than they fear their husbands. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than you fear your wife. That angering your wife should not be your biggest issue. Lying to your wife and earning your wife's pleasure and angering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should be your biggest concern. Because even if you lie to your wife right now, she might find out later. She might find out later. And so now you earn the anger of Allah and you earn the anger of your wife. Both. Did I ever watch Clint Cooley, If Men Told the Truth? No, I haven't. No, I haven't. Sorry, haven't seen that. Okay? And understand that, not wanting to hurt your wife is not justification for lying. Stop. That's man logic. That's what we tell ourselves to justify it. Well, I didn't want to hurt you. Well, what do you think was going to happen when I found out about it? From another source. You understand what I'm saying? Think about brothers who marry second wives and they don't say anything, and then they go into a masjid and a wife comes up, the second wife comes up and says, "Assalamu alaikum, I'm your co-wife." Like, what? Like, who does that? Who does that? You have got to be kidding me, man. What wife do you think is ever going to be okay with something like that? You're walking into a masjid thinking that you're going to the masjid for Jumu'ah, and a woman walks up to you and say, "Hey, I'm your co-wife. Me and, I'm married to your husband. Or we married to the same husband." Like, everything is cool. Like, you lucky you don't get punched in your face for something like that. Like, I mean, subhanAllah, are you serious? And then how is a woman cool with that? How is a woman okay with marrying a man and his other wife don't need, like, that's not polygyny. You're a mistress. I'm sorry to say that. We have to stop attributing things to Islam that are not Islamic. You're a mistress. You're not a second wife. So the first wife, what her response should be, let me give you your response. So when she walks into the masjid, a woman walks up to her and say, "Hey, I'm your second wife. I'm your co-wife." You're not my co-wife. You're his mistress. You're his mistress. You're not my co-wife. Have a seat. Have a seat. Have several seats. You're not my co-wife. You're his mistress. It doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. Because how could you as a woman be okay with that? I didn't know anything about this situation. And had I known, I would have never been cool with this situation. How could you be okay with that? How could you be okay going into polygyny to marry into somebody's family and the other side of the family doesn't know that you even exist? You understand what I'm saying? Yes, absolutely. You're not my co-wife, because this is not polygyny. It's not the way the Prophet ﷺ conducted himself. Every marriage the Prophet ﷺ had was public. Was done publicly. Every single marriage he had was done publicly. Understand that. And if you can't, marriage is supposed to honor a woman. Marriage is supposed to honor you. People took pride in being someone's wife because now you were honored with this covenant, this contract of marriage, and he did it publicly, and he can hold your hand in public, and there's an honor that is attached to that. So is it wrong to be a secret? Yes, absolutely. What is right about being a secret? What is right about being a secret? Please tell me. I'm all ears. I want to hear your perspective. What is right about being a secret? And yes, in some instances, the man, he honors this woman, who's the mistress. I personally, that is not a co-wife to me. And I'm not going to validate that. I'm not going to validate that. That's not Islam. It's not polygyny in the sense that the Prophet ﷺ, a secret is a lie. You're absolutely right. Because you had to lie to somebody for it to be secret. Being transparent, you want to, same sister, you talk about being 100, being transparent. Yes, that's about being transparent. When the Prophet ﷺ was performing i'tikaf, and his wife Safiya, who he married, but he married her outside of Medina, so a lot of people weren't aware of it, right? He's in the masjid, and Safiya comes to the masjid to visit him, to bring him food and talk with him while he's performing i'tikaf. They talk all the way up until the time of Maghrib. The sun is starting to set. And the Prophet ﷺ says, I'm going to walk you home. And he's walking his wife home. And two men walking behind him didn't know that that was his wife. And they begin to walk quickly. And the Prophet ﷺ said, Ala rislikuma ta'ala. He said, slow down. He said, you two, come here. He said, Innaha Safiya. This is my wife, Safiya. This is my wife. Make no mistake about it. This is my wife, Safiya. And he said, oh, Messenger of Allah, we weren't thinking anything. He said, no, because in the shaitan yajri fi ibni Adam majra dam. He said, no, because shaitan flows through the child of Adam like blood. I don't want you start listening to the whispers of shaitan, right? This is my wife. That's transparency. That's transparency. And if a woman is not okay with that, then you are not in polygyny. If a man can't walk into his same community where he's with his first wife, walk into his same community with the second wife and honor her just like he did the first wife, then you're not in polygyny. What he has is two monogamous situations trying to act like he's in polygyny. And we got a lot of men out here faking like they in polygyny. Faking jacks, as we used to say in Jahiliyyah, man. Faking like you in polygyny. Dude, you not in polygyny. Polygyny is for real men. What you have is two monogamous situations that you're trying to make mesh. You're trying to make them function like polygyny. Dude, you're not in polygyny. You're not in polygyny. You understand what I'm saying? And we can't validate that stuff. We can't validate this, man. We can't say, oh, welcome to... Nah, not welcome to polygyny, man. Nah, you're not in polygyny. You have two monogamous situations that, you know, are dubious. Like, we don't even know if they even correct Islamically. And then you trying to, you know, you're trying to function in a certain bracket, man. Yeah, I mean, like, you don't have to necessarily make a display of it, but at the same token, your family knows what's up. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you used to ask the man's children, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, your fathers, and like they know what their father is into. You ask the wives, they, you know, and they're all comfortable and cool with the situation. What's a good reason to have multiple wives? Because you want to expand your family. Absolutely. You want to expand your family. You want a bigger family. That's the greatest reason to be in polygyny. But the thing is that it's always polygyny is all much like monogamy. It's always going to be loopholes because we're not all on the same trajectory. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we're not on the same page. So if someone comes to my masjid with games and I say, nah, I'm not entertaining you, they're going to go to another masjid and they're going to find somebody else that is going to entertain it. You know what I mean? Brothers don't even get married in the masjid. They'll go and have their best friend or their boy go marry them in somebody's house. As long as you have people that will condone that, you're going to always have these loopholes. The whole entire community has to be on the same page in order for us to eliminate a lot of the shenanigans. What's the difference between polygyny and polygamy? Polygamy is the whole institution of polyandry as well as polygyny. Men marrying multiple women and women marrying multiple men. This whole institution is called polygamy, where there's multiple spouses. Polygyny, with an N, is only the case where a man has multiple wives, and polyandry is where a wife has multiple husbands, which is practiced in certain societies. Okay, but when you say polygamy, that just means the concept of spouses having more than one spouse, whether men or women. But when you go into polygyny with an N, you're now specifically identifying the man being with multiple women, and polyandry is when the woman has multiple husbands. Okay, so you don't have to agree. That's cool. People are still doing it. I don't agree with transgenders. I don't agree with, gay marriage, but it's still happening. It's nothing I can do about it. And I'm always amazed at how Muslims will always jump to saying, I don't agree with polygyny and I think that this is wrong, but you don't say anything about gay marriages. That is what pisses me off. That bothers me deeply, because it says a lot about you as a Muslim. I'm not saying you, sister. I'm just saying in general, because you have a lot of Muslims who will stand in solidarity right now, as the president said that, he was banning all transgenders from the services, from the army, from the armed services, right? And you got Muslims standing in solidarity with the transgender. But then we'll turn around and tell Muslims they wrong for practicing polygyny. And you're saying to yourself, like, what did I miss? What did I miss here? How are you as a Muslim okay with gay marriage, but you're not okay with polygyny? Like, I'm puzzled. I really am. I'm really puzzled. But nonetheless, it is what it is. I think as Muslims sometimes we're more hell-bent on being politically correct and accepted than we are being in tune with our religion and being rejected. I think people are screwed up. They need to be okay with themselves first. Yeah, I agree. But I make no excuses for, polygyny. This is part of my religion. I love it. I don't have a problem with it. It's cool. I don't have any issues with that. It's part of our deen. The greatest man that ever stepped foot on this earth, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was a polygynous man. And if you have a problem with polygyny, then I can only imagine how you feel about him. As a Muslim, I can only imagine. If you hate polygyny, I can only imagine how you really feel about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anyway, so that was our discussion for today. I pray that there was some benefit in it. No. I'm not saying you. I'm speaking generally here. I'm speaking generally. The discussion is not about you. I'm just speaking in general. All right. So I hope that you guys all benefited. I know you didn't. I know you didn't say anything negative about our prophet. My conversation was I was having a separate conversation from the one I was having with you. It's not about you. This is about my issue with certain Muslims, not you. You just reminded me of something that a lot of Muslims say, and I just felt like it was the opportunity to say something. All right. So I hope that that everyone, inshallah ta'ala, took away some benefit from this discussion, and hopefully, inshallah, we can have more, just real talk, real discussions, That's the only way that we can begin to heal and make sense of. I think that we've taken the human aspect of being Muslim off the table, and we're living this fantasy. You know what I mean? We're living a fantasy, and we haven't humanized. We haven't learned how to humanize our religion, humanize the problems that we're having, and then use our religion to make sense of these things, man. You going on and on and on about salah, and all of those things are good. Prayer is good. Dua is good. Tawheed is good. All of those things are components that help us in our maturity, our maturation, and and getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All those things are important, but we can't rule out the social issues. You know what I mean? We can't rule out the social issues in our community and the fact that they're not being addressed. So, hopefully this is just one component from the many components that are out there to help us have a more in-depth and a more practical understanding of Islam, inshallah ta'ala. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallama tasliman kathira wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. You guys have been great. The discussion was great as always, and inshallah ta'ala, I'll keep you guys posted for the next Man Logic, bi'idhnillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.